Greetings everybody, wanted to stop by quick here and give you some of my preliminary thoughts on Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Now if anybody knows me, they know that I've been playing these games for a long time. Since the very beginning, I don't think I've missed too many of the mainline games. I think I've pretty much played all of them. But ever since Origins came out last year, seems like Assassin's Creed is moving in a different direction. Which is good and bad, but let's get into it. So Assassin's Creed Odyssey, you get to do something that not most of the Assassin's Creed games allow you to do right from the beginning. You get to pick your character. Now in Assassin's Creed Syndicate, you could play as both Evie and Jacob Fry, these twins that were in turn-of-the-century London, but here you get to choose between Cassandra and Alexios. Now it doesn't matter who you pick as far as a gameplay style goes, they both play and handle the same way. It's not like they get different attributes or things like that. It's just that you get to basically see this character's progression in this world as opposed to the other one. Now you get to do something else that's different in this game too, in that you get to pick what you get to say. So think Mass Effect, in that you talk to people and you get options and dialogue choices where you can either be friendly or you can be antagonistic, you can start fights, you can kill people, or you can try to just be friend everybody or try to romance everyone, which is kind of strange because it seems like almost everyone that you get the chance to romance is like immediately into you. I don't know. I digress. Anyway, but yeah, so those are the two biggest things right off the bat that I think kind of make Assassin's Creed Odyssey step forward in a different way than Origins did. Now, gameplay-wise, it is very, very similar to Origins in that you're kind of, running around, you're doing all these different missions, and it's more RPG-like than it has been in previous games. And by that, I mean there's a leveling system, you have gear and equipment that does level up over time, and you won't necessarily be able to fight a lot of people if they're way higher level than you. Back in the old days, when everybody died in like one hit, and the combat was pretty different, pretty small scale, or it was very much like everyone just kind of circled around you and you just dispatched them one at a time. This one is much more of a, kind of health-based system in that you can't kill people immediately right away. So keep that in mind too. So Odyssey takes place back during the Spartans versus the Athenians. They're going to war, and guess what? You're in the middle of it. Now, you can kind of choose to play either side if you want to. They have these interesting kind of battles and skirmishes that you can take a part in. You can be, for the Spartans, for Athens. You can decide if you want to help defend an area for one group, which is a little easier, or if you want, you can help aggress or attack another group, and you get different rewards based on that, kind of tying back into the loot system, the RPG nature of the game. So along with all of that, with the fighting on the ground and kind of, exploring this interesting and fascinating world, which really, has been represented before in games, but not to this level where you get to kind of walk around and see these structures, which are so cool and fascinating. It is really one of my favorite things about these games, to kind of take a walk through history. I love it so much. But besides all of that, you get to go and do more of the ship combat. Now, it's a little scaled down here because you're not going to be using a pirate ship like you have in the past, like in Black Flag and Rogue and all that stuff where you actually have cannons and things. You have arrows, javelins, stuff like that. And one thing you have to keep in mind is that the longer you hold down your attack button now, you can, make your arrows, do a little bit more damage, whereas in the past you just kind of light the cannons and they go. So it's a little scaled back, but if you are familiar with any of that stuff, they do force it on you. I really enjoy it. I've always loved the naval combat ever since they included it in Assassin's Creed 3, and I really like doing it, but I get that some people might not. It's not completely ever present like it was in Black Flag. It just seems that there are different story beats and there are different options, and to traverse around this big world in certain parts of it, you have to use your ship, which isn't so bad. I really kind of enjoy getting to get out there a little bit. You are a bit slower than your older pirate counterparts. You don't get to move as quickly. You don't have these gigantic sails or anything. But they do have the return of the sea shanties, which I adore. I love them. I do miss some of the older ones, but that's okay. Anyway, but yeah, that plays into the exploration. This game is all about that. The way that they recommend you play this game is they have like an exploration mode and a classic mode. And the classic mode just kind of pings everything and shows you on the map all the time where you need to go. But if you want to use the exploration mode, which is the one they recommend, you kind of have to figure out where things are. So let's say you talk to someone, they give you a quest, and they say, all right, my friend, they need help. I saw them last over here, and it's like east of this camp. And that's the last place I saw them, but I'm pretty sure they need help, and they should be somewhere over there. So you're like, okay. So you have to go over there, and then once you get there, it'll say, hey, there's your target is nearby. And then you kind of use your drone, which you had in the last game, which is an eagle. I call it the drone because it's very much like the Ghost Recon franchise. And you kind of use Icarus, and you look around and you find your target that way. So there's a little bit more of an emphasis on kind of figuring it out on your own, as opposed to just like saying, hey, here's a checkpoint, go over here. Hey, here's another checkpoint, go over here. Which I enjoy. It makes the game a little bit longer, but it makes it feel a little more realistic in that sense. That's good. One problem I do have, though, with the whole experience, and it's really been nagging at me, is that they have this thing called world scaling or world leveling. Now, what does that mean? So in an RPG, let's say you're level 5, and you see these group of bandits who are level 6 or whatever. So eventually you're going to be like, okay, I could try to take them now. They might be a little bit harder, but if I gain a level or 2, if I'm level 6 or 7, I should have some more abilities and some more health and more damage to take these guys out. Unfortunately, right now it seems like you can either meet their level, so you could level up to 6, but if you leveled up to level 7, they too would level up to level 7. Now, why is that annoying? Well, for a few reasons. It's always been kind of a weird thing in Assassin's Creed ever since they switched in Origins to the RPG structure, in that you can't kill people in one hit anymore. Now, the older games, that was kind of a thing you would do, and it makes perfect sense for certain situations. For instance, the classic assassin's lunge, or you're kind of jumping down from above and landing on someone, like stabbing them in the neck. Nowadays, it's more of like, oh, that's a stealth attack, and you'll do maybe a third of the damage. That's just a little weird to me. I understand in the combat and stuff that, like, you gotta have it where you have a little bit of a pushback and you can't just kill people in one hit. But the game is called Assassin's Creed, and it's really difficult to assassinate people sometimes, unless you specialize your character in that way. And in this game, you don't have the hidden blade, you have the Spear of Leonidas, or Leonidas, I believe is what they call him. And people might know him from kind of more pop culture here, but you have the broken blade of that, and that's kind of what you use to assassinate people. And you kind of use it in your combos too if you have a one-handed weapon. It's pretty cool, and I enjoy it, and they have some interesting moves. There's definitely one move that reminds me a lot of Shadow of Mordor, where you can throw it at somebody, and it will hit them, and you can like kill them, but your character will just auto-dash over to them. So it's very much like that kind of Wraith Strike teleport thing in that game, if you guys know what I'm talking about. But that is there, and it kind of still wants you to do that, but with Origins and more so with Odyssey here, it feels kind of like they're using the Assassin's name a lot like they use the Tom Clancy name, where they kind of use that as a blanket statement of saying, yep, it's in this kind of realm, but it's not exactly what you might expect. So if you're going in here and you're planning on like straight up assassinating a lot of people, it's going to be hard in the early goings of it, and I'm hoping that this world leveling thing doesn't keep going consistently, because it's just annoying. Because some of these things, yes, you are unlocking different abilities when you level up, which definitely make you stronger, and you've got so many abilities. You have 4 abilities for like your melee that you can choose, and you can swap those out if you get too many. You have 4 with your bow, and you have just like a lot of things at your disposal. However, if all of these guys, and all these adversaries of yours keep getting stronger with you, it's just going to be annoying, because like one of my things I like to do in RPGs is to like overlevel just a little bit and then go back and tackle quests, or maybe tackle a really hard quest, with some new gear and being a level or 2 above what I was beforehand. So just to keep that in mind. I mentioned the combat earlier. There's a new wrinkle to it this time. There is a different type of counter system that I don't recall being so prevalent in Origins. So basically here what happens is there are 2 different types of attacks that you need to deal with when it comes to your adversaries. If they glow orange or red, it's an unblockable attack, so you just have to dodge out of the way. Dodging is not super good. You can kind of dodge left, right, and back, and if you do dodge correctly, it's very much like that flurry attack mode in Breath of the Wild, where you kind of like slow down time and you can like jump at someone and like attack them a bunch. The other one is there's like a little, like a little white kind of, you see reticle pop up. Those are blockable attacks. if you time your block at the right time, you will parry and knock them back and allow yourself to get a few strikes in. This is really good for a lot of reasons, because you can parry and then use like a heavy attack, which will kind of knock them back and do a lot of damage, or you can do a bunch of light attacks. And if you do the light attacks and you kind of combo that, pair it with like your poison or your fire abilities that you can get, you can kind of build up those meters. Quick tip, pro tip, you can't build up both poison and fire at the same time. I wish I could, but I can't. It sucks. I wish I could. Anyway, yeah, so there is that to consider. So you can kind of fight a lot of people at the same time, but it can be overwhelming because it's not like the days of old, which I know a lot of people are happy it's progressed past that. And I am too. I just think that some of the stuff could use some refinement. It still feels kind of clunky. There's not a lot of fluidity sometimes in your movements, and I'm not sure if that's because I'm just on an Xbox One and I'm not on a Xbox One X, or I don't have a nicer TV, or whatever that is. But it is something to keep in mind that they're not quite there yet with the combat. They're making strides, but not there yet. So I'm hoping that if they do truly take off next year, and they kind of, like they did with Origins, and kind of wait a little bit and kind of try to perfect this new third-person, more kind of focused fighting on one or two people at a time, as opposed to the old days where it was like 20 guys lined up around you in a circle and just waited to die. But yeah, so Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I'm enjoying it so far. There's a lot to like here. There's a few things, like I said, that are bothering me about like the world scaling and the ability to, or the inability, I should say, to not be able to take out people in one hit. But I'm starting to get to the point where I've been leveling up my bow or my assassin abilities where I can one-shot some people, because some of these outposts, it's going to be hard if you don't take out a couple of these guys beforehand. And there's a lot of sneaking involved. Kind of that's my style. You don't have to play it that way if you're really good at the combat. It's just going to be really hard, especially if you're going up against these guys who might be 2-3 levels higher than you, or sometimes you run into an area where they'll have little red skulls, which means that like they are so much higher level than you that even if you take your bow out, use your best charge shot on their head, it will do next to nothing. And that is a little world breaking for me, like immersion breaking. I get it's an RPG, but at the same time, it's like, what? I'm not going to do anything to this guy? So, yeah, also, like, if there's a sleeping enemy, you might not be able to one-shot them while they're sleeping. Come on now. It's just something I think about. Something that bothers me. But I love this franchise so much, and I'm excited to be in this world. No, I've been waiting for them to do like a Russia or Japan, like a feudal Japan, but this is really cool too. And obviously we're here at Critical Reviews, we're all about the Legionnaires, the Legion, and so getting to play as this really cool looking, kind of Spartan warrior or whatever, side you kind of get with is a lot of fun. It is a little weird to be like sneaking around in that full armor, but it's really cool once you get out in a battle and you're like, wow, I look amazing. And I'm playing as Cassandra right now. I really do enjoy her. I think I'll probably try to do a little bit with Alexios just to see what his character is like, but I think they're going to be pretty similar in that you can either make them suave and charming and nice to everybody, or just kind of a jerk and try to kill everybody. So if you liked Assassin's Creed Origins, if you like Assassin's Creed, or you like, I should say, where they're going, maybe this game would be for you, because it's so much like Origins, just a different time period, different characters, and a few more wrinkles, especially re-adding back in more of the ship battle stuff that wasn't really in Origins at all. But if you are looking for that kind of old school Assassin's Creed experience, yes, they have the climbing and stuff. Unfortunately, they took out the best part of Assassin's Creed Unity, which is the ability to kind of jump down a building very quickly. You can still drop down it. It's not as fast, but there's a lot of times that I just jump off a building and hope I don't die and take like half damage, and I'm like, yep, I'm fine, and then just run and heal. It's kind of weird. But yeah, this game, it could almost not be an Assassin's Creed game. Like, that's how far away they're starting to move from that old school formula. Yes, there's still kind of like the hunting and stuff, and there's the sneaking and the climbing, but you're not really an assassin right now. So I'm interested to see where they go with this in the future. That's why I'm still hoping for that feudal Japan. You can be a samurai or a ninja. I'm just saying, Ubisoft, it's easy money. And everybody else is seeing that too right now. Every other group is making a feudal Japan style game. Anyway, but yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I'm hoping to get out a full review to you guys before Red Dead Redemption 2. I'm not sure if that will happen, but I'm moving through it at a pretty quick pace, and I really have been enjoying my time with it. It's really easy to get sucked into it because there's so many fun things to get embroiled in and get involved with. And the emphasis on story is something that they haven't really played with before, as long as you get to make the choices. That is something that I think is interesting, and I'm really curious to see where they move with it. Anyway, I hope that gives you guys some ideas, some thoughts on Assassin's Creed, and makes it a little easier if you're kind of on the fence about it. If you're going to wait a little bit to maybe buy it when it goes down in price, or if you want to pick it up today. But please, if you have any other questions, leave them in the comments below. I'm super happy to ask or to answer anything that you might have. If you're like, oh, Jimmy, I want to know about this specific thing, I can say, yes, this is in there. No, this is not in there. Or I haven't experienced that yet. Last thing, they just keep doing that stupid modern day storyline. That's the one thing this series can't kill. They cannot kill that modern day storyline. Oh gosh, like, it's so annoying when they rip you out of the Animus. It's like, why? Anyway, yes, well, thank you for stopping by, everybody. My name is Jimmy Good. I'm from Critical Reviews. If you want to support us, like this video. If you like a few of our videos here, consider subscribing to the channel. And if you want to support us even further, consider checking us out on Spreadshirt. We've got some cool merch over there. Or over on patreon.com/criticalreviews. See what we can do for you, what you can do for us. It'll be great. Either way, thanks for stopping by so much, and just remember to adapt and overcome.